What if everything you believe about aging and family is wrong? What if the very thing you think will protect you, being close to your children in your later years, actually leaves you more vulnerable, helpless, and resentful? In this video, we'll explore a perspective that might challenge everything you've been taught about the ideal relationship with your adult children. We'll dive deep into why proximity doesn't guarantee love, why dependence can erode dignity, and how staying too close to your children in your later years might cause emotional disengagement rather than the closeness you expect. By the end of this video, you'll understand the hidden dangers of relying too heavily on your children as you age. You'll learn how maintaining independence is crucial not just for your dignity, but for the health of your relationship with your family. We'll discuss how to keep your self-respect intact while nurturing stronger, more fulfilling connections with your loved ones. If you want to maintain control over your life, avoid the trap of feeling like a burden, and discover how to make your golden years truly fulfilling, this video is for you. Stay with us until the end to find out how you can protect your independence and build healthier, more balanced relationships with your family. If you are not subscribed, I recommend subscribing and activating the notification bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support means a lot to me, and if you enjoyed this video, you can help me continue spreading the valuable lessons by liking and sharing it. If you like the topic of this video, please comment 1. If you don't, please comment 0 to let me know how I can improve and make better videos for you. Now, let's begin. When parents move closer to their children with the hope of becoming a more integral part of their lives, they often do so with the sincere expectation that their physical proximity will naturally strengthen their bond. They might imagine that simply being nearby will help cultivate deeper emotional connections, filling their days with love, support, and shared experiences. But in reality, relationships don't flourish just because two people are geographically close. True, lasting relationships demand more than just physical closeness. They require effort, intentionality, mutual respect, and most importantly, a genuine desire to stay emotionally engaged with one another. When parents become too available, always present and eager to help, their children can sometimes start to take them for granted. This isn't a reflection of malice or lack of love, but rather a subtle shift in the perception of the relationship. What once felt like special moments spent together may begin to feel like routine, obligatory check-ins. Instead of feeling like a cherished visit, those moments start to lose their charm, becoming another errand in a busy life. Conversations can become predictable, lacking the warmth and spontaneity that once made them meaningful. The connection that should be rooted in affection and care may gradually erode into something much less fulfilling, emotional disengagement. Perhaps even more unsettling is the shift in the balance of power and role within the family dynamic. When parents are actively involved in their children's lives, they may unwittingly place themselves in a position of dependence. In their earlier years, they were the protectors, the ones who guided and made the decisions, and their children looked up to them for support. But as time passes and parents age, roles reverse in ways that can be difficult to navigate. A child, now an adult with their own family and responsibilities, may feel the weight of suddenly having to care for their aging parents, not just in emergencies, but daily. What was once a relationship built on mutual respect and affection can slowly morph into one of quiet obligation. The parent, once a figure of authority and strength, can feel reduced to someone who must be taken care of, rather than someone who is still a respected individual with autonomy and their own needs. This reversal of roles can strain the relationship in ways that neither party anticipates, leading to feelings of resentment, frustration, and, at times, guilt. Children may feel burdened by the responsibility, while parents may feel diminished by their reliance on others. Another issue that often arises when elderly parents live near their children is the unspoken expectation that they will always be available to help. Whether it's babysitting grandchildren, assisting with household chores, or simply providing companionship. What was once a role filled with love and care can suddenly feel like an unpaid job, one that is taken for granted. This can create a sense of imbalance. On one hand, parents might feel undervalued and overused, like they are no longer seen as beloved family members but as mere helpers in a household. On the other hand, Children might begin to feel like they are constantly intruded upon, their own space and personal time compromised. The underlying tension can start to breed frustration on both sides, leaving neither party feeling fully satisfied or respected in the relationship. True emotional connection, I believe, is not built on proximity alone. It's about maintaining individuality and mutual respect. Being physically close may seem like the easiest solution, but in many cases, distance can help a relationship thrive. When time together is spent purposefully, it becomes more cherished, free from the weight of unspoken obligations or expectations. Space and independence can protect the integrity of the relationship, ensuring that moments shared are intentional and meaningful. Relying too much on children, especially in old age, can erode a parent's sense of dignity in ways that might go unnoticed until it's too late. The more dependent they become, the more their autonomy diminishes, and the harder it is to reclaim that sense of self-worth they once had. Independence is not just about being able to make decisions. It is at the core of a person's dignity and sense of self. It's what allows people to feel in control of their lives, to still have a sense of agency in their own decisions. And when that independence is lost, even incrementally, it can feel like something essential has been stripped away. Many elderly parents, seeking safety and comfort in their later years, believe that moving closer to their children will provide them with that security, a safety net they can rely on when times are tough. And while there is truth to the idea of having someone nearby in case of an emergency, the everyday dependence on children for companionship, decision-making, or even just for validation can chip away at their self-esteem. It's heartbreaking to watch as someone who once stood strong and independent begins to feel like a burden, an unspoken responsibility that their children must now shoulder. What's so painful is that this erosion of dignity often happens slowly, imperceptibly, and with such tenderness that the parent may not realize the loss. It might start with small concessions, asking for rides instead of driving, depending on others to help with grocery shopping, or seeking approval before making even the smallest of decisions. These acts are subtle, but over time they accumulate, and suddenly, the parent feels like they no longer have control over their life. And if a child assumes too much responsibility, making decisions without consulting the parent, or worse, deciding for them, this dynamic becomes even more unsettling. The parent, who once guided their child through the ups and downs of life, now feels as though they're being managed. The emotional weight of this shift is deeply unsettling and can be profoundly isolating, leaving parents longing for their independence, for their dignity, and for the autonomy they once had but now feel slipping away. This, to me, is the heart-wrenching truth, that even the most loving relationships can be fragile, and if not carefully tended to, they can shift in ways that rob us of what matters most, our sense of self and respect. As we grow older, there is an undeniable temptation to rely on our children for comfort, companionship, and support. But what many may not realize is that this dependence can quietly, and sometimes dangerously, erode the sense of independence that is so crucial to maintaining dignity in our later years. When an elderly person begins to lean too heavily on their children, the consequences often go unnoticed, creeping in like a shadow, quietly affecting their mental and emotional well-being. It's heartbreaking. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 1 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The once vibrant, active person who engaged with their community, their friends, and their hobbies, begins to retreat into the confines of their home, their world shrinking with every passing day. When we become so reliant on our children for social interaction, we cut off ties to the things that once defined us as individuals. We stop attending social gatherings, we let our friendships wither, and we forget about the personal joys that brought us fulfillment. Slowly, painfully, we lose sight of who we are, and the isolation that follows is not just physical. It's an emotional prison that can feel inescapable. In these moments, we may find ourselves silently waiting for our children to include us in their busy lives. We become passive observers, watching as life moves on around us, feeling like we no longer have a place or a role in it. It's not just that we are physically alone, but emotionally adrift, caught in a world where we are no longer the participants but the onlookers. That sense of identity, once strong and sure, begins to erode, leaving us feeling empty and disconnected from the very people we once nurtured. It's a painful realization, and one that most of us would rather not confront. But this is the harsh truth of growing older and relying too much on our children. It can strip away the very things that make us feel alive. Maintaining our dignity as we age isn't easy, but it is essential. We must make a conscious effort to preserve our independence, even when the world around us seems to be moving at a pace we can no longer keep up with. Relying on our children for every need should not be the first instinct. It should be a last resort, something we turn to when no other options remain. The strongest relationships between parents and adult children are those built on mutual respect, love, and choice, not on obligation or guilt. When an elderly parent can retain their autonomy, they not only maintain their sense of self-respect but also allow their children to see them as individuals, worthy of love, not just duty. When we give our children the space to admire us as people, not just as dependents, we preserve the essence of what makes our relationship special. It is an act of love on both sides. However, as we age and become more dependent, it's important to recognize the heavy burden we place on our children, even if we don't intend to. What starts as an innocent desire to stay close, to be with family, can slowly turn into something much more complicated. As time passes, the lines blur between love and duty, and what was once a joyful connection becomes an unspoken obligation. This shift is often imperceptible, but it's there, weighing down both parties. Children, caught in the throes of their adult responsibilities, building careers, raising families, managing their own lives, find themselves struggling to balance everything. And in the midst of it all, their aging parents' increasing needs become just another burden they must bear. This burden doesn't always come in the form of a loud, forceful demand. It often manifests quietly, through subtle expectations. Parents, even if they are aware of their children's busy lives, may still expect visits, phone calls, or a level of support that becomes harder and harder to provide. The pressure to be constantly available can build over time, until the child, no matter how much they love their parent, begins to feel trapped. They are torn between their own life, their own needs, and the demands of their aging parent. Guilt creeps in when they can't provide what's expected. They may avoid phone calls or become distant, even though they don't want to. Every interaction, no matter how small, begins to feel like yet another responsibility rather than an act of love. And in these moments, the joy of the relationship starts to fade, replaced by frustration, resentment, and a sense of inadequacy. It's not a lack of love, it's the overwhelming weight of expectation that leaves both sides feeling unfulfilled. On the other side, the parent may not fully understand the emotional toll this places on their child. They may feel neglected, hurt, or unappreciated when their children don't visit as often or don't seem as engaged as they once were. The love that once flowed freely between them can turn into frustration and disappointment. Neither side intends for this shift to happen. No one moves closer to their child to become a burden, and no child sets out to feel obligated to their parents. But over time, as needs grow, as sacrifices become more frequent, the relationship can transform into something transactional. Instead of mutual affection, it can become a series of demands and unmet expectations. This is the painful reality of relying too much on our children, and it can slowly erode the bond that once felt so effortless. A healthy relationship between parents and children is built on freedom, the freedom to act out of love, not obligation. When parents maintain their own lives, their interests, and their sense of self, they allow their children to experience their presence as a gift, not as a duty. By removing the silent burden of expectation, we give each other the freedom to love without constraint, to enjoy each other's company without the weight of responsibility. This is the kind of relationship that nourishes both parent and child, allowing them to appreciate one another as individuals, free from the burden of obligation. This, I believe, is the key to preserving not just our dignity as we age, but the true beauty of family connections. When elderly parents move too close to their children, they may unknowingly disrupt the delicate balance that their children have worked so hard to establish in their own lives. As adults, Children have spent years building routines, nurturing relationships, and creating family dynamics that are uniquely their own. These structures, which represent the independence they've strived for, can easily be overshadowed when a parent becomes a constant, looming presence in their daily lives. What was initially intended as an effort to stay connected, an innocent desire to remain close and involved, can slowly and insidiously evolve into something far more invasive, often causing tension and stress rather than fostering the closeness both sides desire. One of the most heart-wrenching disruptions occurs in marriages. Marriage is a sacred partnership, one built on love, mutual respect, and shared responsibility. Yet, when a parent is living just a stone's throw away, their constant proximity can subtly unravel the fabric of that partnership. With the best of intentions, parents might find themselves drawn into the daily rhythm of their child's life, offering unsolicited advice, showing up unannounced, or assuming that they have a right to constant involvement. To the child, it can feel like their spouse is no longer their primary confidant or support system. Instead, the dynamics begin to shift, and the spouse, who is already balancing the weight of work, parenting, and all of life's little challenges, may start to feel as if they are being asked to accommodate another person in their already full life. This can create an overwhelming sense of burden and resentment. The child may be stuck in the middle, torn between the desire to please their spouse, maintain their peace, and respect their parents' need for companionship. The result is a slow, festering sense of unease that may begin to erode the very foundation of their relationship. Another painful issue that often arises is the unspoken but powerful influence parents can have over how their children raise their own families. Grandparents naturally want to be involved in their grandchildren's lives, and, to a certain extent, this can be a beautiful and fulfilling dynamic. However, when that involvement becomes more frequent than desired, it can lead to friction between the generations. The elderly parent, in their wisdom, and sometimes unwittingly, may offer unsolicited opinions on everything from parenting techniques to discipline methods. They may try to impose their standards on their child's family, unaware that they are undermining the parent-child relationship. The result? A battle over how children should be raised, and a conflict between two generations that could have otherwise remained harmonious. The child may begin to feel torn, not only by their emotional responsibilities to their parent, but also by the demands their parent places on their ability to parent effectively. Instead of feeling supported, the child can feel criticized, judged, or even undermined, leading to deep-seated tension and sometimes even bitterness. In the worst cases, a parent's constant presence can become an emotional and psychological anchor, weighing down their child in ways they may not even realize. Children of aging parents often find themselves in a delicate balancing act, trying to navigate their own lives while also being the emotional support for a parent who may be struggling with loneliness or physical decline. If the parent turns to the child too frequently for emotional guidance, companionship, or decision-making help, it can pull the child back into a role they've long outgrown. Rather than embracing their independent adulthood, the child may feel shackled to the past, forced to carry the emotional baggage of their parents' needs. This can stifle their personal growth, preventing them from fully exploring their dreams and desires. It may cause them to delay life-changing opportunities or sacrifices, all in an attempt to fill a space that their parent may not have allowed them to grow out of. As painful as it is to admit, these situations can leave both parent and child feeling trapped, unable to move forward because they've never truly let go of the past. It's only natural that parents wish to remain close to their children as they age, seeking companionship and emotional comfort in the familiar. But there comes a point when physical closeness, though well-intentioned, can disrupt the delicate balance of a child's life. Healthy relationships require not only love and affection but also space, respect, and the ability for each person to navigate their own lives independently. The boundaries between parent and child may blur with age, but it is those very boundaries that ensure that the relationship remains a source of support, not a cause of stress. Parents must remember that their role is to enrich their children's lives, not to overshadow or encroach upon them. In the later years of life, there is an undeniable tendency for aging parents to lean more heavily on family for companionship, support, and even a sense of purpose. After all, Family is where they have invested so much love and energy. But when these well-intentioned desires cross into dependence, it can become a heavy burden for their children. Parents may feel that their final years should revolve entirely around their children and grandchildren, but it is vital to understand that fulfilling one's life doesn't solely rely on the proximity or the constant attention of loved ones. There's a profound power in cultivating an independent, meaningful life outside the family structure, one that allows for personal joy, growth, and a sense of fulfillment. This approach not only ensures that parents continue to thrive, but also preserves the bond with their children, allowing it to remain healthy, loving, and balanced. When parents pour every ounce of their time, energy, and love into their children, they often lose sight of something incredibly important: their growth, well-being, and sense of self. In their selfless devotion, they may unknowingly put their own lives on hold. They stop seeking new experiences, disconnect from old passions, and allow their happiness to take a back seat. Over time, they might lose the spark that once made them vibrant, leaving behind a void, a deep, aching emptiness that grows as their children mature and move forward with their lives. Their children, now immersed in their responsibilities, may not realize how much emotional pressure they are unwittingly absorbing from their parents. A parent, whose world revolves solely around their family, may begin to expect constant attention and engagement, hoping their children will fill the emotional void they have created. This can lead to tension, guilt, and an awkward strain on the relationship, even if no words are ever spoken about it. What was once a loving, organic connection can transform into something much heavier, filled with a sense of obligation rather than joy. If you are still watching this video and find these lessons useful, please comment 2 below to let me know that you are still here with me. The truth is, developing a fulfilling life isn't just about taking care of your children, it's about taking care of yourself. Parents need to cultivate their happiness, too. Maintaining friendships, engaging in hobbies, and staying mentally and physically active are not luxuries. They are necessities. When parents build and maintain social circles with people who share similar life experiences and challenges, they bring a sense of joy and companionship into their lives that their children, no matter how well-meaning, can't always provide. Involvement in a community, through volunteering, joining clubs, or participating in religious groups, fosters a sense of belonging and purpose that enriches the soul. Pursuing personal interests, whether it's traveling, learning something new, or simply enjoying a creative outlet, gives life a sense of excitement and fulfillment that rejuvenates the spirit. Ironically, the more a parent focuses on their joy and well-being, the better their relationship with their children becomes. When an elderly parent is living a vibrant life, their visits become a celebration, a source of joy, rather than an obligation. Conversations flow with ease and excitement, and time spent together feels treasured, not like a routine. Children begin to see their parents as dynamic individuals, not as figures to care for or worry about. The emotional dependence shifts, and instead of feeling burdened by their parents' needs, children begin to admire and look forward to spending time with them. The parent becomes a respected figure in their child's life, someone they look up to and learn from, rather than someone they feel responsible for supporting. Living a life of one's own isn't about pushing family away. It's about maintaining independence and dignity. It's about preserving your identity and taking the time to nurture yourself, ensuring that you remain whole and fulfilled. A strong sense of self creates space for love to flourish in a healthy, genuine way. Relationships thrive when love isn't fueled by guilt or duty, but by free will, mutual respect, and shared happiness. One of the most difficult truths for many parents to accept is that their children are meant to grow up and live their own lives, separate from them. From the moment a child is born, parents feel an instinctual need to protect, nurture, and guide. They are their child's first everything, their first teacher, their first protector, their first guide. But as children mature into adults, the healthiest, most loving thing a parent can do is to step back and allow them the freedom to forge their path. This doesn't mean letting go with bitterness or regret. It means doing so with love, trust, and confidence. It means understanding that the child will come back to them when the time is right, and that their bond will remain strong despite the natural separation that must occur. Holding on too tightly, either emotionally or physically, can only cause harm in the long run. A parent who expects their child to maintain constant contact, visit frequently, or provide support simply because they are family can easily cross the line from love to possessiveness. The relationship no longer feels like a natural bond, but rather an obligation. True love, at its core, is always freely given. It isn't something forced or demanded. If a child feels pressured to engage with their parent out of duty rather than love, it breeds resentment and guilt rather than the warmth of affection. What was once a free exchange of love turns into a stifling obligation, and the beauty of their relationship diminishes. True love means recognizing that your child's happiness may not always mirror your expectations. It means understanding that they need the space to make their own decisions, to carve out their future, and to build a life that reflects their dreams and aspirations. This is not a rejection of you as a parent. It's simply a part of the natural cycle of life. The love a parent offers should never come with strings attached or conditions that make it contingent on how much time or attention their child gives them. It should be unconditional, given freely and without expectation. Parents who fail to respect this fundamental truth often find themselves unintentionally pushing their children away. They wrap their children in expectations that feel more like chains than support. The more they try to hold on, the more their children feel suffocated, pushing them further away emotionally. But when parents focus on their growth, happiness, and well-being, they set a profound example for their children. They show that life doesn't stop at retirement, that personal fulfillment is not something that expires with age, and that love is most powerful when it is given freely, without expectations, without conditions, and the weight of obligation. In doing so, parents not only enrich their own lives but deepen their relationships with their children, creating a cycle of love and respect that transcends the years. As we wrap up today's discussion, I hope you've gained valuable insights on the importance of living a fulfilling life outside of your role as a parent, the power of maintaining independence, and how focusing on your happiness can strengthen your relationships with your children. It's a delicate balance, but it brings greater peace, love, and understanding into both your life and the lives of those you care about. So, what have you learned today? What's one thing that resonated with you, and how do you plan to bring it into your own life? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave your comment below and share the one practice or mindset shift you're going to embrace. And if you found this video helpful, don't forget to leave your comment, give us a thumbs up, and share this with someone who might need to hear it. Make sure to subscribe to our channel for more insights and advice on how to live a fulfilling life at any age. Thanks for watching.